People, the headlines, the issues impacting you and your family. This week in Cincinnati on WCPO 9.
Welcome, everyone. We hope you're having a good weekend. I'm Tanya O'Rourke. During this half hour, we will take a look at some of the most impactful stories that WCPO 9 News covered for you this week. First, the collapse of a Florida condo tower has unleashed lots of worry and fear among people living in high-rise condos nationwide. And that includes Cincinnati. The WCPO 9 ITeam spoke with a Hyde Park resident who found an eerie resemblance between pre-collapse pictures of Champlain Towers and the parking garage in his own building. Reporter Dan Monk looked into those concerns.
The Madison House condo building in Hyde Park looks pristine from the front door. But Edgar Ragusis knows the backstory.
When it rains all day, this is a flood, and that's why they park these cars back farther from the wall.
The three-story parking garage at Madison House has lots of leaks, cracks, and crumbling concrete.
This is part of the ceiling that fell out, which you can see right there.
It's the same kind of damage that Ragusis saw in coverage of the Miami condo collapse in June.
I immediately thought of the garage, and chills ran up my spine.
We tried to contact Madison House several times this week through the management office, through its attorneys, and through Town Properties, which holds the management contract on this building. So far, no response. The building sued to evict Ragusis last year for failing to pay condo fees on his 15th floor unit. He disputes the fees and filed a counterclaim, alleging the building's managers have failed to allocate reserve funding for the execution of regular inspections, repairs, and maintenance of all exposed structural concrete.
The roof's leaking to go up to the next level.
The garage leaks aren't mentioned in the lawsuit, but Ragusis says the garage is what scares him most about Madison House.
If the garage were to slide down the hill, it's possible that because these slabs for the patios are weak, that they would go like dominoes, just like Surfside.
Cincinnati building inspection records show no reference to leaks or concrete problems at Madison House in the last 3 years. This 2015 Reserve Fund study says the Madison House garage is in fair condition. Condo associations are required to set aside money for repairs and long-term maintenance. They typically hire consultants to verify they have enough cash in reserve to cover those needs. After Ragusis gave us a copy of the most recent Madison House report, the ITeam showed it to an expert.
They are contributing 25% of their total budget towards reserves. That is a good number.
But Robert Nordland says a more important number is not disclosed in the document.
Reserve fund strength is measured by a term called percent funded. It's the balance between the reserve cash on hand and the reserve needs of the building.
That estimate requires a structural integrity analysis, which Ragusis claims the building has not performed since he moved there in 1995.
What we find across the country is 3 out of 10 associations have a reserve fund that is in the 0 to 30% funded range, meaning their cash in reserves on deposit is 0 to 30% of the current deterioration at the building.
So Ragusis will continue his fight with a court hearing scheduled on his counterclaim against the building in September.
I've been here a long time. There's people that I care about here. Even people I don't care about. If I know something, I should try to make it right.
So that's what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Dan Monk, WCPO 9, ITeam.
Roger Foys has been bishop of the Diocese of Covington for 19 years, but this week a new leader was named. It comes after Foys reached the church's mandatory retirement age of 75. Chief investigative reporter Craig Cheatham examines the bishop's legacy.
Good morning. 75-year-old Bishop Roger Foys says he's waited a long time for his successor.
I felt sort of like John the Baptist, you know, when he was waiting with everyone else for the Redeemer, for the Messiah who would set them free. And
there was a lot of laughter on Tuesday as the Catholic Church announced Pope Francis had accepted Foys's retirement and named Father John Iffert as the next bishop of the Diocese of Covington.
19 years he has served you here in the Diocese of Covington, faithfully, diligently, and with a pastor's heart for those who are suffering.
But Bishop Foyce's legacy, like the legacies of so many Catholic bishops, probably depends on how you perceive his response to the priest sex abuse scandal. Robert Steinberg, an attorney who represented abuse survivors in a class action lawsuit against the diocese, told us in 2019 that Foyce played a critical role in the groundbreaking $90 million settlement.
The Diocese of Covington, Bishop Foyce and their attorney cooperated completely with us in resolving this case and compensating the victims.
But Bishop Foyce also refused to publish the names of accused pedophile priests until 2020, much later than many dioceses around the country. And according to longtime Covington lay leader Dr. Matthew Connolly, Foyce didn't focus enough on pastoral care for abuse survivors.
Did I like what he accomplished? No. I think he took us in a direction that doesn't help.
Dr. Connolly, who says he's a former member of a diocesan committee that reviewed victims' claims, believes Foyce is sincere and deserves to be acknowledged for his 19 years of service as bishop.
He served. He tried. And I'm comfortable with that.
On Tuesday, Bishop Foyce also appeared comfortable. The third longest serving bishop in the Diocese of Covington is finally stepping down. Craig Cheatham, WCPO 9, ITeam.
Coming up, there's a new executive director at the Cincinnati VA Medical Center. In this week's Homefront, anchor Craig McKee asks her how she's hoping to make a difference.
I'm Craig McKee. The new executive director at the Cincinnati VA Medical Center is a few weeks officially in her newly appointed role. Jane Johnson is the fifth in 6 years, and she says she is already focused on change.
We bring in food, have a big meal with our cancer patients.
Jane Johnson is an Air Force veteran with years of nursing and management under her belt and finds the personal interaction of her new role to be a key in leading.
Clearly, as you interact with people, you want that environment to be not only like a family, but you want them to be able to know that they can come to you with a problem.
Oh, absolutely.
You take over as captain of a ship that has had serious turnover in 6 years. What kind of stability do you hope to attain now taking over this position? And is this something you're looking at as a long haul position?
So it didn't matter who was here.
Right.
It matters that we have a great team out there. We were a 5-star regardless of who was sitting in this chair.
Right.
Hopefully I can continue to move our culture forward.
Filling in as executive director since February of 2020, Johnson has served during the challenges of the pandemic.
We had 19 veteran deaths due to COVID. And 1 employee death due to COVID.
Through it all, she's been able to observe and create her team's focus.
One of the things we're trying to do is to change the culture. I work so hard every single day to make sure I can gain veterans' trust. And it went from really low numbers, I think you remember during the access crisis, to now we're in the 92 to 93 percentile of trust. So veterans trust us again. That's important to me.
During that interim role, the Department of Veterans Affairs Office of Inspector General held a virtual inspection. To be clear, in doing this inspection, the IG pulls a very small sample of records to determine the quality of work the Cincinnati VA Medical Center is doing. For example, with some 38,000 veterans served, they pulled just 9 patient records when it came to pain management and long-term opioid therapy. The inspectors found issues with a third of the files. The issue? Missing informed consent documentation prior to initiating long-term opioid therapy in patients. To some, that can be very concerning for the fact that what they are suggesting is that these patients, these veterans, were not told perhaps of the dangers of being on an opioid and the long-term effects that could cause.
I think that's accurate historically. I think we've fixed that. I think our action plans are in there and clear.
Regarding the hiring of a new practitioner, the Inspector General report pointed out that while it understands there are circumstances that require expediting a medical staff appointment in the best interest of quality patient care, the inspectors did not find an urgent need for the practitioner to be appointed in this manner and circumvent the standard credentialing process.
Are people being hired through the proper channels and credentialing manner to make sure they're the right person for the job here?
I think the answer is yes to that. I think that is an opinion. At given times, we may need to bring a practitioner on urgently. We still do the basic things. We still make sure their credentials are in place. We still check with the National Practitioner Data Bank. We still do the minimum to get them on and to ensure our safety and veteran safety. And then we go back and still do the other pieces as well. We were 3, 3, 3, 4, 2, 3, 3, 3.
What are you aiming for there?
Ones.
While Johnson's goal is to improve in all areas, she says in the end, there's really one goal.
We want to have the best veteran outcomes.
Now, I want to point out here, much of the inspection report red flags have already been addressed by the Cincinnati VA Medical Center. Many of them literally come down to just documentation errors. Jane Johnson says through retraining and specifically on the opioid issue, a renewed emphasis on their pain clinic and protocols, they are ensuring patient health is their main focus. You can read more about her vision and the full IG report in this story on WCPO.com.
Welcome back. Some homeowners in Cincinnati were still cleaning up this week, nearly 2 weeks after severe storms hit our area. That rain knocked out power and flooded homes. But some homeowners say they're being left out to dry after the city denied responsibility for their damage. Marielle Carbone reports in Mount Lookout.
When the rain started on June 30th, Shannon Murphy never expected to find this in her basement.
Horrible amounts of mud, sewage. We were astounded.
5 inches of mud, the sewer drain busted up, the basement floor cracked.
We can't touch anything in our basement now. We can't live in our home. I'm 6 months pregnant. I have an 11-month-old.
Murphy believes the storm caused a sewer backup in her home. An MSD report says differently, calling it overland flooding, which the district isn't responsible for.
They never set foot in our house, and they claimed that it was 6 inches of clear water that was in our basement. And there would be no way for them to know this because they've never been in our home.
There is nothing inside that building.
Metropolitan Sewer District Director Diana Christie says inspectors don't need to enter a home to determine if a sewer backup occurred.
What we need to determine is, was our public sewer surcharged? And all the indications of that are in our manholes, in the actual clean out, if there is one, on the building sewer, and all things we can do from outside the home.
Christie couldn't comment specifically on Murphy's home, but did say just because a storm drain like this is damaged doesn't mean it's from a sewer backup.
It can be caused just from water entering the home and finding somewhere to exit the home.
There were no signs of ground flooding in the walls or the windows.
The family did have an independent contractor look at the home who believes there was a sewer backup. And Murphy claims a second MSD inspector who looked at the house Friday agreed. But a new report given to the family by the sewer district today does not give a cause of determination for the damage.
The damage is just going to keep getting worse, and we are handcuffed and can't do anything.
Now, as far as not going into homes for inspections, Christie says that was a COVID protocol that has since been lifted, but that going into the homes, mainly they're just taking photos that are used for the claims process and not so much for the sewer backup determination. Reporting in Mount Lookout, I'm Marielle Carbone, WCPO 9 News.
Cincinnati Public Schools is expanding its career and technical education programs. The goal is to give more students access to various career paths. Reporter Josh Bazan takes us inside our region's largest public school district to show how it's getting young people ready for high-paying jobs right after graduation.
These Cincinnati Public School students are getting some hands-on instruction at Woodward Career Technical High School during the district's Summer Scholars Program.
The teachers there are super supportive. They want you to succeed and they want you to be the best person that you can.
Michael Hunter graduated from Woodward in 2019 and participated in the construction pathway, which he says helped him figure out he wanted to major in construction management at UC.
Being in that program actually navigated me to this. I probably wouldn't have decided to go into this major if it wasn't for Woodward's construction program.
What our goal is to provide opportunity so students can do what they want to do with their future.
But CPS's Career Tech program is much bigger than just construction. It covers 11 major career fields with 20 specialized pathways, and there are programs at 13 of Cincinnati's 16 high schools with plans to expand.
And we'll be bringing the other 3 high schools on board with some sort of Career Tech programming within the next 2 years.
One new program the district says it is excited about is cybersecurity. The goal is to eventually get students in that area skilled enough to earn professional credentials, making for an easy transition into a high-paying, in-demand job.
And if they do that and they get those credentials, once they graduate from high school, they'll be able to get hired and really earn in the $50,000 to $60,000 to $70,000 range and an entry-level cybersecurity position.
We worked on this story with our partners at the Cincinnati Herald. You can find a link to the Herald's podcast that has an in-depth conversation with Cincinnati Public Schools in this story on WCPO.com. Reporting at the CPS Education Center, Josh Bazan, WCPO 9 News.
Coming up, taking steps to save lives. It's the mission of Maddies House and our Steve Raleigh and his wife Julie. Up next, a look inside Maddies House and how it's helping people take charge of their futures. This week, WCPO 9 devoted part of our Thursday to a labor of love born in loss. Maddies House is a place where people can be at home after rehab or treatment, where they can find a community. It's something Maddie Raleigh wanted and needed and didn't have. She told her mom, Julie, and her dad, Steve, who you know is part of the WCPO family. The telethon on Thursday raised money for Maddies House. WCPO 9 News anchor Kristen Hartman shows us why it is so positively Cincinnati.
And it's Sunday Fun Day. Call it a high-energy mom mission. Julie Raleigh and her dedicated team.
We are going to write powerful words, things that we want to think about every time we take a step.
Have made a place her daughter Maddie would have loved.
She always said, Mom, I need a place to go after rehab, that I can go be with people that understand me.
After Maddie's passing, Julie and her family made that bridge to healthy, that spot supporting sobriety, come true. This is the Maddies House Annex.
Pick a marker.
On one of its art therapy days.
It's a good distraction. When I'm feeling very anxious, it helps me ground.
Julie invited me to bring my dog Ginny, putting a little pet therapy into the creative mix. I watched as folks crafted with purpose, always a message in the projects, like these tie-dye socks, serving as a reminder recovery is one step at a time. It resonates.
I love that it's so vibrant and so all-inclusive. It's never exclusive, and anybody who wants to be here can be here, whether it's for addiction or mental health.
Maddies House has helped me a lot. Helped me find support, because I don't have much support besides here, so this place is very helpful and I love it.
Just two of the many people who found a home here. As you can see, they fill the 2,200 square feet. The growth is the reason I spoke with Julie outside this red brick home.
We've been given an amazing gift by Mercy Health.
That will allow them to expand Maddies House in so many ways. Maddie's sister Chelsea trained to bring a healing mind, body, and soul initiative to its programming. All the room makes so much more possible, including land to connect with nature, another one of Maddie's loves.
Losing her, worst day of my life, always is. I have a hole in my heart. Any mom has lost someone, has a hole, or dad, or any family member, and it affects so many family here.
You know, we have some new people. We've got families here today, which we're really excited about. You're expanding to the whole family, right?
Right. We're so that's because it's a family disease. Kristen, we know it affects everybody in the family.
Touches everybody's heart.
Yeah, it does. It hits you in the heart.
So they're surrounding the circle of addiction with a circle of love in Maddie's name.
Having her idea come to reality is amazing. I know she's dancing in heaven.
That was Kristen Hartman reporting, and that is This Week in Cincinnati for this Sunday. Join us for breaking news, weather, and sports on WCPO 9 News tonight.